Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm a professional wedding photographer and I'm passionate about helping aspiring photographers unlock their creative potential. Whether you're drawn to weddings, portraits, lifestyle shoots, or just love capturing beautiful moments, I'm here to help you build your skills and confidence. I also provide one-to-one photography training, and for more information on this, click the link below. Okay guys, let's jump right in. Okay guys, so here is our final edited image, and this is what we want to achieve. So this was the original image, and as you can see, I have underexposed it. I've done that deliberately in order to retain the sky and the wispy clouds, which are very faint behind her. But I wanted to retain the deep blue in the sky as much as possible. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to first start, if we come back, this is the mid stage, and if we go into the history, here, you can see all the different stages I've gone through up to this stage here, basically. So this is just before I've started to retouch the image. So these are all the color settings that I start with and the crops I did. So I guess if we start as far as I can in Lightroom, so I have cropped the image down, brought up the exposure. I've also added some of the sky back in, so I've isolated the sky as far as I can. And now I'm ready to do some retouching of this bride in Photoshop. So I'm going to right click, edit in Photoshop 2025. And here we are now in Photoshop. I'm just going to move me over here. That's it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to clean up the image first, the backdrop, the background and the foreground. As you can see, the grass is quite messy over here. There's bits of grass that we don't want. So basically what we need is the toolbar, and here it is over on the left. I think we'll use on the keyboard, if you press S, the clone stamp tool will be highlighted. And I'm now going to go into the grass here. I'm going to carefully fill in areas of the grass that need to be filled in like this. Okay. When using the clone stamp tool, make sure you choose areas that are fairly close by, otherwise you'll get a disparity. Okay, so we're going to have a closer look at that, and we'll just fill in some more areas here. A little bit more. Okay, we come out a little bit. Okay, I'm now going to choose the remove tool. Okay, which is J on the keyboard, and you can see it jumps to the remove tool. If you click down on these tiny little arrows in the corner, it will bring up and hold down. You can see all these different remove tools, spot healing tools, patch tool, healing brush tool, but we're going to use the remove tool. Okay, so now just going to clean up the grass a little bit, just to make it a little bit more uniform. Any smudge marks whilst using the clone stamp tool, I'm going to clean that up just like that. And always come out just to make sure that what you've done is working. Okay, I'm just going to clean up this little area here. Okay, I'm just going to go back to the clone stamp tool, and I'm now going to just clean up a little bit of this area here. Okay, that's fine. Now going to remove a few other unwanted elements like these, like this bit of grass here that's sticking out. So we're going to use the remove tool, which is J on the keyboard, and we're just going to remove little sections . Okay, I'm just going to draw this in here. Okay, let's go in a bit closer. Okay, let's clean up a bit of that fence. Let's just come out. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just looking for other elements in the picture that are also intrusive or a bit too close to the bride, which need to be removed. Like, for instance, this little flower here. I'll just remove that. Any marks on the fence, like that. Then I'm going to go over here to the side of the fence. Okay. So I'm generally quite happy with that. So we're now going to always look at the sky to see if there are any marks, insects flying in the sky, birds that you don't want. Okay, or lens aberrations. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the bride's skin. And as you can see, there's lots of little marks on the skin. Although this bride has really good skin anyway, and her makeup is really good, we just need to clean things up a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to go in nice and close, and we're going to start with the remove tool, of course, J. And I'm just going to go around the skin, cleaning things up here. Okay, like this, just to make her skin absolutely the very best it can be. Okay. Lovely. So, as she's not too close, I can, and slightly out of focus. We don't have to go completely mad, but there are elements like these hairs coming across her face that need to be removed, basically. Okay, that's fine. There's a little hair there. Little marks on the chin. Keep that. That's the mole. We don't want to remove moles. Don't remove anything on the face that is permanent. Just things that come and go. Blemishes, spots. Okay. I might just remove this skin line around here. Make that a bit softer. Yeah. And the rest of her skin. There's a few little marks here. Okay, come back over here. There's a little dimple on her dress, get rid of that. Mark on the hand. Legs, that's fine. There's a little bit of plant coming across her leg there. Don't want that. I think we can get rid of this shadow as well. Just get rid of that. Any unwanted veins that are distracting and not particularly great to look at, let's get rid of those as well. Okay, So we're pretty happy with that. Let's come out. That's great. And I think we're fine there. Okay, so we're going to come out of Photoshop now. I've just noticed a couple of other things down here. Let's get rid of that flower. Get rid of this and that. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to look at her hair to see if there's any hair, or what I call antennae hair, that's sticking upwards, and there isn't any. So she looks really, really good. Okay. I might just now clean up the skin with a brush just to even out the skin, which gives us a good level playing field to work upon. So B on the keyboard, chooses brush. At the moment, actually, I've got this on a pencil, so let's move back up to brush. And I'm just going to come in here. That's it. Okay, and now when you use the brush, the way I use it, if you click the Option key, a pipette will appear, and we just want to choose an area of the skin which will represent all of the skin. So let's just choose that color there. Okay, and I'm just going to, okay, that. First of all, you need to test it. It's on the foreground. So let me just move this as well. And just click that over to the foreground. And now look at the opacity. It's too high, so we're going to whack that down to 8% opacity. I'm now going to paint in that color all over her face, just to remove some of the shadows under her eyes, around here, and that's it. Just to even up the skin, basically. I'm going to come down here onto the neckline, and then shoulders. That's it. Chest. Just, you notice this area around here is a bit blotchy, so we're just going to clean that up there as well. Maybe around here too. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Maybe we'll just do a little bit more here, cleaning up. So just to clean things up a little bit. Okay, that's great. If we come out now, let's save this now, and we're going to drop it back into Lightroom. So Command S for save. And here we are back in Lightroom now. Okay, so we go back to where we were. That's where we were, and this is where we are now. So you can see quite a difference there, especially with her skin. We just brought her out a little bit. Her skin is even. The shadows have been diminished, which give it more impact, basically. Okay. We are now going to color this image. And this is where I blend my second set of colors into this 1960s color, which is quite green. And I want to warm the picture up, make the flesh tones look a bit more appealing, basically, and the sky, etc. The colors that I use are within NIX software, NIX software, fantastic photo editing software. So we're just going to right click the image, edit in, come down here to Color Effects Pro 4. This is quite an old Color Effects Pro 4 set, but I've been using it for a long time and I've found no need to upgrade. So we're just going to, when you click on that, basically you'll get a window that pops up here, and you want to choose Edit a Copy with Lightroom Adjustments. You also want to keep the file format as a TIFF file, because this is an uncompressed file and you don't want to change it to a JPEG at this stage. You only convert to JPEG when you have finished editing and you are exporting your photo. So the color space that I use at this stage is ProPhoto RGB, just has more color basically. And we're going to come down to here, the resolution we want always at 300, and we're just going to click here now, edit. It's going to open up Color Effects Pro 4. I've got several presets depending on how cool or warm I want to make the picture. So if you come up here to the compare button, you can see this is the image that I've just imported, and you can see different presets create different effects basically. So my presets, all these presets are the same in terms, generally in terms of color intensity, but they do adjust the highlights and the shadows to give and some of the color is increased as well. So I think we're going to go to a really warm setting down here, and I think if we come to this one here, I want to reduce the shadows. If I kept the shadows like that, it creates a more intense image, a more punchy image, but I prefer to diminish the shadows and the blacks basically to make the image more vintage looking. So if you come over here to the right, within these presets I have all these are the preset recipe sections for each preset. We have levels and curves, pro contrast, a dynamic skin softener, a fog, which I hardly ever use now. And we come down here for film grain. I don't put film grain in unless I need to. But basically I use these shadows and highlight settings at different settings for each preset. So what we're going to do at this stage, we're just going to add some levels. And you ask yourself basically, have the highlights been blown out too much? And I would say they have slightly. So I'm just going to reintroduce, it's very, very subtle. My levels and curve settings just bring down the highlights ever so slightly. If you click one of these arrows, you can see I've got the levels and curves setting just for the highlights, which is this area up here. So I've bent this curve downwards, which just, if I show you how it looks, if you bring the opacity all the way up, you can see it introduces a lot of the highlights, which is a bit too much. So we're just going to keep that at this stage at 11%. Okay. And now we're going to go to the dynamic skin softener. And I'm just going to go into a skin now. And I'm just going to basically pick the area that I want to highlight, or soften I should say, the most. So I'm just going to click on this area here, and I'm going to put a tick in this little box here, and that has now evened out the skin even more, softened it, and it's nicely uniform now. So if I come out, you can see what I mean there. Okay. So I might actually also increase some of the color saturation into this image just to bring it up slightly. Bring it up to 60%. Okay, so I'm now going to save this image and bring it back into Lightroom. So here's the image we've finished with. So very similar to the previous image, just a bit lighter. We can make some changes to this. I actually prefer the grass adjustment in this one, but looks pretty good to me. So what we're going to do now is just increase a few things like the saturation. I might just increase that saturation ever so slightly. Do it very subtly. 5% is a little bit too much, so +4 I think would be good. Don't need to warm the image up any more than that. And we'll just compare it to what we had before. And this is the image we've worked on. So I'm now going to add a final element, which is in my presets, which is I'm going to come down here to my presets, and I'm going to choose a tone curve. This will turn the image a little bit more vintagey. So over here we've got 1, 2, 3 tone curve settings. So the first one looks like this, and you see when I clicked on that, over here in tone curves, the bottom left hand corner has lifted up. These are the darks, the shadows, and this is how you create a vintage look by what they call crushing the blacks. So if we go to tone curve 2 or 3, you can see it makes it very vintage looking. Go back to 1. Personally, I think number 3 is really good for this image. So I think if we go back to the previous image, edited image, and just see what the difference is. Comparing, we can see perhaps the color and her flesh tones is a little bit intense, so I might actually just bring that down to 1 and just leave it there. Okay, so I think that's the final image, and at this point I would export that image. Thanks very much guys for listening. Hi guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more Lightroom and Photoshop training. See you on the next one.